You are about to hear a very rare and precious audio clip. It is an excerpt of a personal communication I had with a young man in his 20s who was born and grew up in Hong Kong. In the clip, he reflects on his perspectives regarding various Mahayana sutras, with an ultimate determination that the Surangama and Diamond Sutras are his favorites. For the sake of anonymity, let's call him Han. I want to begin by thanking Han for giving me permission to share his journey with you. I feel confident that many of you who listen to my channel will benefit from hearing his insights regarding the sutras and his evolving perspectives on them, whether or not you agree with him on every point. Han's journey is a very personal one. However, I believe that his story demonstrates a basic psychological principle, namely, that which is most personal is also most general. In other words, by sharing deeply the specifics of our own life experience, others are able to empathize and relate to us vis-a-vis their own experience, even though on the surface we might seem to be very different people. Anyhow, in the audio clip, you will hear a young man who grew up in Hong Kong and who, in his late adolescence and very early adulthood, was experiencing various life stressors, as do many of us when we are trying to establish our identities and make our way in the world. I will not be sharing the early part of the clip where Han describes the specifics of the particular pressures and anxieties he was facing. Rather, as our interest here is in the Buddha Dharma, let us listen deeply to how he relates to his struggles by turning to the sutras. To me, the beauty of Han's story is that he does indeed find answers in the sutras. He finds meaning, and he finds a path toward greater equanimity and peace of mind. May we do so likewise as we each address the dukkha or unsatisfactoriness that the Buddha so wisely noted as being universal in this human existence. And, as it says in the meta-loving-kindness scripture, in gladness and safety may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and yet to be born, may all beings be at ease. Namo Amida Butsu. And here's Han.
During that period, I was pretty anxious and stressed about everything. So, luckily, there's one of my friend, like, back in Hong Kong. He's a Buddhist. He's from Taiwan, and Taiwan is a place which Chinese Buddhism is, like, everywhere. So he said to me, like, his mom is also a Buddhist. So his mom, from what I know at the time, she is following Chinese Buddhism sectors, which there's a famous Buddhist master called Xing Yun. So Xing Yun master is a Chan Buddhist master, and I've read a little bit of his information because I know he's Chan master. So during that period, I think, like, because I'm so anxious about everything, so I was thinking, like, oh well, maybe I should try to seek wisdom from an ancient religion. So I think for some reason he recommends me to read Diamond Sutra, and I was reading the Chinese classical version, which is not easy to fathom because classical Chinese is not easy to read, first of all, and second, the first time which I have no Buddhist foundation knowledge at all, first of all. Second, the realm that described by Diamond Sutra, it's not easy to be understood at a age of 18 years old of me, because I don't have many life experience, I mean. So I've spent 3 months to half year to truly understand what the Diamond Sutra is saying. I think in the process from a very anxious state to a state which I have no more anxiety, Diamond Sutra helps me to rewire my thinking pathway and sort of like when I try to integrate the Diamond Sutra thinking style into my thinking pathway, it also modifies some of my behavior. I will not be so attached to, for example, things like things must be permanent. I become more detached about things, and then that's how I initiate myself into Buddhism. Buddhism suits me because Buddhism, it's very interesting. Not only like this emptiness, it's very interesting. I like how they describe like, those Four Noble Truths. But I think after I read Diamond Sutra, I have watched a series of commentaries and a series of Buddhist lecture from a Taiwanese Dharma master. It's called Jing Kong, and he's a Pure Land Buddhist master. So he have delivered so many lectures. Pure Land ideas suits me very well because I think Pure Land Buddhism, it's not the same as the heaven described by Christianity, because I think what I think now as well. I think Pure Land is like a training school. Buddhism has such a spiritual elements, which I don't mind that, because Buddhism doesn't force you to believe. I mean, they will use theory they will explain theory well, whether you accept is a thing. I do agree with some of the central ideas of the Lotus Sutra, for example, like everybody can become a Buddha, irrespective of whether you are man or female or animals or a human or a god and all these things. So, and later on, I have more basic knowledge about Buddhism, so I keep reading a lot of things. Tathagata or Buddha nature actually is my favorite, I have to say. Like, Buddha nature is a very interesting topic because it is a theory which cannot really be explained by languages, because the logic of that is not meant to be explained using languages. Srimala Sutra, Sutra of Complete Enlightenment, and obviously this sutra, which is called Surangama Sutra, give me a feeling that I really truly appreciate Mahayana Buddhism, because without Tathagata, Mahayana Buddhism cannot even truly exist. Surangama Sutra is my favorite sutra. I think Surangama Sutra and Diamond Sutra are both my favorite sutra. What we have to do is to correct our wrong views through many things, correct our behavior through meditation and precepts and all these things. And in the middle of the sutra, it explains like practitioners or true Buddhism followers should prevent all this lustful desire, greediness, and hatred, anger, all this negative behavior, because they will create negative karmas. And also, they also tell you, like, when you are practicing meditation, you have to follow the precepts, the 5 precepts: no killing, no sexual misconduct, all these things. And they also explain the realm when you're trying to progress from a very low stage to a very high stage, and all this like situation that you may face during practice. And during this dhyana cultivation, practitioners to be aware of, not to be indoctrinated by the maras. And also, like, I think the most important thing is to inform as a householder, or inform the monks, like the things that you have to be aware when you are practicing deeply. This sutra gives you a mirror to show you how to practice, what kind of things you have to be aware. So that's why, like, if Diamond Sutra is the sutra describe how to describe emptiness, Surangama Sutra is another sutra that describe what is the realm of the Buddha nature, and both Diamond and Surangama Sutra is my favorite, to be honest. This sutra is suitable for those person who is already have some, for example, he has some basic foundation of Buddhism. He is truly thinking Buddha Dharma is his way. So he is not thinking like, I want to decide whether Hinduism suits me well, or Theravada Buddhism, or Mahayana Buddhism. I mean, if a person is pursuing Mahayana Buddhism, Surangama Sutra can be his further additional scripture for him to read.